that get your Graham and Ann going or what?
That's awesome. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Want to do a kitchen jig right there. Yeah.
Exactly. Welcome back to the back corner.
Welcome back to the back corner, to the dozens.
The dozens and the dozens.
The dozens and dozens.
Yes, exactly. Actually, speaking of the dozens, we have this is almost becoming a custom. I feel bad for the first 16 guests we had on this show, but we got Alex Daggett here with us today and brought some swag for you. Got a back corner
Look at
hat.
that.
And you are one of the dozens, and so you're
Awesome.
Your own back corner T-shirt.
There you go.
There you go.
Just
I can
for
go
you,
now.
sir.
Yeah.
I got my ball cap. I'm all
So you need
set.
something to wear when you're cleaning out
There
the
you go.
gutters, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm
building
a hat
stuff.
wearer, so I wear them all day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's a good hat. It's a good, nice
hat.
hat.
Yeah, that's
So,
great.
I was wearing one last episode. It was good. I'm back.
Next episode.
Next episode, I'm back to my default hat though today. Or I'm
go.
starting with my default hat. Next week, I plan to wear
Yeah.
a back corner hat. We certainly don't film these in advance, and sometimes out of sequence. That's for sure.
It even fits. So
There
there
you
you
go.
go.
There
So there you go.
That's saying something because you're a
That's-
man of some cranial giftedness.
I got some cranial. There isn't a lot in there, but it's pretty big.
but you'd have space for it if there
space.
were.
There is. We're gaining. We're gaining.
Yeah, we want to welcome.
I
back.
like this guy already.
Yeah, we want to welcome back. It's been really cool to see. I see dozens of merch everywhere.
Yeah, man.
I mean, by everywhere, I mean like locally, but
I saw.
I didn't see any like.
I saw a
extra-
back corner hat at the gym today.
Did you?
Yeah, in the
go.
mirror, but I saw it.
You were wearing it. Oh man, we're gonna have a great time today. I'm excited about this one. Alex, we're gonna chat about a bunch of things. We're gonna end up talking about a book that Alex just released.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank
That is
you.
a huge accomplishment.
Indeed. Some people at this table don't have what it takes to write a book, but
They may have what it
Alex
takes.
and I do.
You might just shame me into doing it.
He will do it someday.
That's my.
It's
We're
coming.
going to peer pressure you into writing a book.
Yeah,
Of all the things your parents warned you about peer pressure, authorship is not one of them.
I have a couple mentors in my life, and one of them is a guy out in California, and I talked at length about seems like I should write a book, maybe. Should I do that? And he's like, oh, you don't have to do that till you're 50. So I'm like, I'll take it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
I might pump one out before that, but I'm in no rush.
I'm not much before that, so I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. You just did your first.
I just
Come
got
on.
a slight head start.
You got
Yeah, the odds of there being a
exactly one
second-
more books than me, both
Yeah.
of you.
Although that's also 100% more books than you.
100% more.
Touche. But we thought it'd be awesome. I mean, one, just to have you here in the back corner, but also, I think we're a couple of days removed from Father's Day.
Yep.
And a huge theme in Alex's book is on fathering and stuff. And so I thought we could dive into some of that. It would be apropos to tie it in. And we got some sort of fathering content in our segments coming up. So, but first, today's sponsors.
Yeah.
Let's go. We got some official sponsors. First, I want to make mention of the King's Church shop.
For all your King's Church merch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which again is housing the Back Corner merch, which you can also get at backcornerpodcast.com.
It's like one of those like stores within a store.
Yeah, it's like a back room.
Like
or
when
back corner.
What store was it? Was it the Bay that tried to put like little tiny Zellerses in their store recently?
Really?
Yeah, we're reopening Zellers, and it was like 4 items in the corner of a Bay. But the Bay has since been bought out by Canadian. It's like Mark's Work Warehouse in a Canadian
Right.
Tire.
There you
Right.
go.
The back corner, back corner merch shop is the Mark's Work Warehouse.
That's right.
To the King's Church shop's Canadian Tire.
Now, we've already had some of our American listeners and followers that follow King's Church asking, can we buy King's Church apparel? And we're working on it. So
The tariffs are going to crush you, but you can buy.
my friend Brian Keyser, who someday we will get in the back corner, he's
Absolutely.
like, I will pay the tariffs on that. You just let me know. So,
Well, he should.
yeah.
I know how he voted. He should be paying every tariff there is.
I know how he
Hey, Brian,
voted.
love you,
There
buddy.
go.
Yeah, this is your fault, sir. Yeah.
You brought this on yourself.
Thanks for this.
dear.
You and the other
You made your
100
bed.
million of you that voted that
Don't
way.
get
you
started on
especially.
politics. We'll be here for quite a while.
we're not going to get into that. Which we have gotten into that.
Yeah.
Another official sponsor or unofficial sponsor. You're a contractor. Plug your business.
My business, I'm just self-employed.
Well, how do people get a
My own
hold of you?
go.
Just reach out.
They get a hold of me by 333-0406.
There you go.
There you go.
Alex
506.
Alex Daggett.
What do you do? A contractor?
I
Carpenter?
do everything.
Yeah, he builds houses.
You move dirt?
I get somebody to move dirt.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can do
Remind
that
me to
for you.
ask you after about your dirt moving
Yeah.
guy. I got some dirt I need moved.
I know all the contacts.
I need a little landscaping done.
Right now I'm doing siding on a big house in Rothesay, and it was cold there today.
No doubt.
There are many homes in a 3-kilometer radius that you have had a hand in around Quispamsis area, KV. So yeah. Anyway, a little plug there for
There you go.
He's an all-around handyman. Which stay tuned for our Mountainous Top 4.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a good one.
This one's for you because I wanted to go sports because Alex can go sports. We could go deep dive.
I've gone sports
I
when
know
we've
you
gone
have,
sports.
but I'm doing this now because I can go the way we're gonna go.
Yeah, no,
But
you'll be fine.
it's not my first choice. So
You're
you
gonna
can
like it.
name 4.
You're gonna like it. He told me what it
I,
is. so
I
you're
got
gonna
a good 4 actually. I mean, it might not.
I'm going to need clarity before I'll be able to answer, but we'll get there. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
All right, we'll get there. We'll get there. But as is our custom, I don't know if we're getting down there. We got what 4 or 5 episodes left in season 1. We're gonna have a full double album of AI generated. Ron, what did you have for breakfast music? Today, Ron, what did you have for breakfast? What do we got?
Oh, I like
Bryan
that.
Adams?
I like that.
Oh, come on!
Kind of an arena
This
rock.
is Bryan
vibe.
Adams.
That's like back in
He
when I
was,
grew up.
he was on the TV at the gym today. I think he's making a comeback.
Is it?
Springsteeny on the vocals.
I don't mind it. You can get up to this music. Come on.
It takes me back to the 80s, man, right there. Yeah.
Totally.
You look like a guy with a secret plan. So I leaned out my window and raised my hand. Hey, Ron,
Come on.
have for breakfast. You're walking like you own the whole street.
I love this.
Was it steak and eggs with a side of thunder or just something?
The sign of
Bacon
what?
eggs with a side of thunder.
Hey, Ron, what you have?
Keep it going.
You fired up and I'm running slow.
That might be the best one yet.
It's up there.
It is up there.
This chorus needs a montage being played.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't you see Ferris Bueller driving to school?
Yeah, totally. It's
Ferris Bueller.
like the end of the movie of Ron's life. This is the
Dude.
song that plays all the highlight
Freeze frame.
moments. Yeah.
Freeze frame.
What's that from? Breakfast Club? I
think so.
It's a catchy
So
one.
what was the prompt for that, Ron?
Dad rock.
Dad
Oh,
rock.
I had to do
there we
Father's
go.
Day. I had to do Dad rock.
That fits the bill.
Yeah.
I like that. That's in my top 10.
That's going on
There
the
you
first
go.
album.
Definitely.
That's going on the first
it's
album.
Yeah,
the-
on the A,
yeah,
not
on
on the.
the-
It's not
on
a
the
B
A
side.
side, yeah, for
All
sure.
right. Well, there we go. That's a big moment.
Ron, what did you have for breakfast?
Well, since we've already broken the fourth wall about 2 in one day, I'll say yesterday I had eggs.
Hey!
Yes, and AJ did smash through that fourth wall
I am
early.
I am so encouraged by your increased protein intake, Ron.
Thank you.
It's I was concerned for you there for a while, but yeah.
Cheerios are still in the cupboard though. So.
This-
Hey, look, I'm not saying never Cheerios. I'm just saying sometimes protein.
Got a scoreboard back here.
Oh, there you go.
So that's 11 for Cheerios, and that is 10 for other.
Oh,
It's close.
so we're a Christian podcast, so we're not going to encourage people to bet, but
If one over under.
we're targeting about 24 episodes for this season, so it'll be curious to see if one comes out of Cheerios versus not Cheerios wins, or if it's a tie by the time we're done this.
Can you imagine if some ultra wealthy Asian businessmen just got into betting on the back corner?
Betting on podcast outcomes.
Where did you come up with that one?
That's just who he thinks bets.
Well, you see
Dear.
that, I've seen it on movies and stuff where
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
get people have too much money.
Could
and
Have to
they're
find obscure things to bet
Yeah,
on.
what was that movie? There was a movie that probably back in the late 80s, early 90s where they hunted people.
The Game?
The Game, was that what? Yeah.
No, that was actually a fascinating. That was the one where you could pay and they would set up this whole murder plot against your life or whatever.
okay.
But it was
I did not see that one. There you
it's
go.
fascinating.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into segment one. We got a bunch of good things to talk about. We haven't done this one in a while.
It has been a bit.
It has been a bit. So people are ready for some unsolicited advice with.
It would behoove you.
It would behoove you. Something that would benefit your life. So we'll go around. Let's kick it off with you, Thomas. What do you got that would help people? What's some unsolicited advice? What's making your life better?
Get your car detailed,
Oh,
particularly inside. Who cares about the outside? You're not out there.
go through a car wash.
But yeah, no, there's nothing better than getting into like a nice, clean, like smells good, looks good car, especially if you're someone who winds up having to spend a lot of time in your car. It's a happy thing. I mean, it's not essential. It is an extra. But if you're looking for like a simple treat yourself kind of scenario, get your car detailed.
Spoken like a guy that's not doing construction all day long, eh?
Get your other car detailed. Get your car detailed, not your truck.
I keep it looking pretty good though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
It is
Yeah.
amazing to me though. Like when I get in like a working guy's truck,
Yeah.
like it's a 2024 fully loaded and it's just covered in dust and
Yeah.
mud and like it's just like it doesn't take long.
I mean, the reason I had to get mine, I mean, I wanted to get mine detailed, but the thing that put me over the top is about 3 trips to the sawmill out in Owidjawak.
That'll do it.
And it was just full of mud and sawdust and stuff, and it was time. But
The new job sites will do it to you big time too. Yeah, the dust and the mud and you name it. Yeah, that's what you're in the middle of this time of year in the spring
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I like that. I'm hoping I would like to get that. If my wife is listening to this, that would be a great Father's Day gift.
Ooh, there
Although
you go.
Father's Day, I think, just happened 2 days ago.
Did it?
When this releases.
I don't know.
Hopefully, I got a detail.
No, it's going to come out. Ron said that this will come out before Father's Day.
I
It's
feel like
not too late.
I feel like Ron's wrong. Let's take.
I feel like either way.
Take bets.
it's
We
a
got a
good-
bet on that?
the Asians are already doing.
So
Yeah, we're
it
already
would,
betting.
it
That's
would
right.
behoove you to not feel like you can only do something nice for the dad in your life on Father's
you
Day.
go.
Right.
You can get his car if you really want to, fake him out. Get him like a tie or some socks and give it to him on actual Father's Day. Then like 3 days later,
Yeah.
you're gonna want to hook him up with that car detail.
Now, was it like? Did it feel almost new clean?
Legit. I mean, we bought our car from a dealership used.
Yeah.
But it was cleaner
Than when you bought
than
it.
when we bought it.
Wow.
Like the young fellow, the guy must have been, I don't want to say how old he was in case he's way old, but he seemed like he was like 18, 19. Young guy just starting a business. The guy got to do it. Rock Auto, I think it was called. But yeah, dude did a fantastic job. And it was like new. It was
What's that
beautiful.
run you?
I think he had it he came and picked it up at my house.
Really?
Took it to his place, detailed it, brought it back. He was probably gone, but probably had it about 5 hours, and I think it was $150.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, shampooed the carpets, the
gotta do
whole
that.
deal. Yeah,
They
like
have
I
different
want
packages.
both my cars
yeah.
detailed.
for like the hourly rate. It like if you break it down, plus all his cleaning products and all that, like, it's really pretty decent deal.
Now, $300 is a lot for a Father's Day gift, but I might be able to squeeze that out this year. I've been good.
You got 3 kids, bro.
I know.
That's only $100 a kid. you got to amortize it over the
I like
number
how
of
you're-
children.
I like how you're thinking here. Yeah.
I got another one.
Yeah, go for it.
Carry polysporin everywhere.
Why?
Because I cut myself a lot. I have a car polysporin. I got a bedroom polysporin. I got a bathroom polysporin. I got polysporin everywhere.
I mean, you got something that could have been infected.
Bro, I honestly, I get all scraped up anytime I
So
get.
you know what I carry? A roll of black tape, electrical tape.
That's how you
That's how I cover up.
That's your
every
first aid
Yeah.
kit.
That's my utility knife cuts. So I just wrap her up with
Mine's
tape.
in my shop. I got the blue shop towels and masking tape.
Yeah.
But for the exact, there's no size wound you can't cover with shop towels and masking tape.
I've had guys come to me with paper towel wrapped around their finger, and I put the black tape around
Yep.
it.
The black tape's good. It's got a little
Yeah.
stretch to it. That's
Yeah.
smart.
Good as new.
Yeah, works.
You ever
good.
use crazy glue?
I've used the actual glue that you.
Like actual surgical glue?
the actual
Yeah.
surgical glue. Yeah.
I
Some of the
sanded
kits have
through
that.
my fingernail
Yeah.
about a week ago, and it felt like electricity every time I bumped it. Because I mean, right down to the skin. Like
He's kind of a
quick.
Tim the Tool Man
He
guy.
is.
Then.
So
yeah.
I'm a little. This will come up when we get to the mountainous top 4 in my tool selections. Anything that can actually remove a finger is not a great idea for me. So yeah, it looks like I have this weird like crusty thing, but it's actually just a buildup of super glue to cover that.
I like it.
There
Now,
you
that's
go.
Great tips.
Kevin Doran once taught me that guitar players often would keep crazy glue in their guitar case, so if your calluses fall off, you just put a little dab of the crazy
Yep.
glue on there,
Yep.
and boom, you're
That
back
worked
in
too.
business.
I used to.
So
the,
crazy glue, polysporin, electrical tape.
the ends of my fingers used to be as hard
It's
as
a
my.
redneck,
we're redneck
first
I like
aid
it. This
kit.
is great.
Yeah.
This is the Maritimers coming out
Maritime
strong
matchup.
in this one. Yeah, we just need a little Graham-and accent to bring that out in both of us.
right.
So we got
Yeah.
enough in our DNA to go there. So
We go at this long enough, I'll bust out my Beals accent to
There-
play ball.
there we
you know
go.
where Beals Island is?
Beals Island, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
that's where I was born.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There you go. He's an Islander.
he is.
There you go.
He is. I'm,
Island
I'm the
people.
odd man out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frederictonian.
We think we're separate from everyone. You think you're better than everyone. It's close enough.
Listen, I grew up in Marysville. It was the St. John part of Fredericton.
Right. Right.
Legitimately, Marysville would be the most blue collar part.
Absolutely.
of
That's
the
why
city.
I fit in like a glove here in St. John. I'm like, my people when I moved here. So
As he moved to Quispam says. That's it. The Marysville is to Fredericton what Quispam says is like that's the handoff right there. That's where they
it
meet
shows
in the
the
middle.
gap. Yeah.
The most blue collar part of Fredericton
Is white
lines
col-
up just
is white
about
collar St.
with
John.
the most white collar part of the St. John area.
second most, yeah.
Yes, I suppose. It's not Rosse.
Well, that's the thing, though. There's a big jump. Like, I don't think there's any place in Fredericton that's whiter collar than Rosse is. So
I don't know if it's
Rosse would be the whitest of collar.
Probably.
I know. I grew up hanging out with my best friend on Dune Street, so
There you go.
That's no collar.
That's the hardest. That's the hardest part of Fredericton.
It is
for
collar
sure.
free. That is the hood of
You know, someone's from Fredericton if they say Fredericton.
Fredericton.
Yeah, Fredericton.
The guy I took
Or
drive.
Moncto. They put an N.
Or Moncto.
They put an N.
Moncto.
I always grew up saying, Melanie, my beloved wife, I was probably 33 years old when she's like, why do you say Ormuncto? I was like, because it's called Ormuncto. She's like, there's no N in Ormuncto. I'm like, yeah, there is. I played against their high school. And then we looked it up. It's like, would you look at that? There's no N in Ormuncto.
The guy I took driver's ed from always called it Fredericton.
He didn't even know ours.
No,
No R's.
Fredericton, and that was his name for the government. So Fredericton changed the rules, eh? Fredericton, they sent a guy down from Fredericton. There was no government. There was no province. It was everything was Fredericton.
Fredericton.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So the guys in the class used to go, who was it there, Cliff, that sent them? It was Fredericton. They just get him to keep saying it. Oh, great times. Great times.
Good advice. What you got? Anything for us, Alex?
Oh,
on
man.
It would behoove you. What's something? What's
got all
what's
kinds
an
of them.
everyday hack for people? What's something?
I mean, we're giving you credit for the electrical tape already. I'd
Well,
never
that's
thought because
true.
the stretch factor that I'd never thought of.
You need to keep some near your woodworking.
Oh, I've got some in the shop. I just never. I
I
always reach
have
for the
a roll
masking
in
tape.
every pair of coveralls, pants. Seriously.
Yeah.
Like the guys know at the job site.
You got
like,
any on you right now?
I don't have any on right now.
Speaking of your coveralls, I got to give you. I'm giving you second place award at.
Oh, second place.
At King's
Man.
Church, we did All Nations Sunday a while back.
Yep.
And we told people to wear their traditional attire, and so we said, for you Maritimers, you know what to do.
Yep.
And Alex, you did it good. You had the full the coveralls on,
Plaid shirt.
yeah,
Ball cap.
The only reason you were beaten was Keith Lyons, a older fella from the church here. I saw him leaving, and he had the flannel on. And the funniest part of this wasn't deliberate. He didn't. He had the flannel on and like the blue jeans.
He wasn't celebrating All Nations Sunday. He's just him.
He had
Just him.
He had a bag of fiddleheads under his
okay.
under his
Okay.
arm because someone brought them for him. So he's leaving with fiddleheads. It's
That's
like,
great.
You win and you didn't even try.
That's
just like
I
that's
was going to bring in a
hoping-
chainsaw, but I didn't know if they let me in the church or not.
I
If
was hoping
carrying
to
the-
find a sou'wester.
Sou'wester.
Full like the
Yeah.
rain slicker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The yellow.
I've got
With
a
that
set
hat.
of those. Yeah.
With the Jimmy Flynn hat or whatever there.
There you go.
yeah.
There you go.
I've got a good old sou'wester too.
What do you got for us, Alex?
Man, there's so many.
Lay it on. We got time for all kinds of wisdom.
It doesn't
behoove-
have to be deep.
It can be, yeah, okay.
Oh,
It would behoove you to
superfluous.
leave your phone in the truck and get in a kayak.
There you go. Yes. Yep.
That's one of my favorite things.
Just set it aside
Yep,
for a minute.
That's one of my favorite things. I just something about that hour and a half, 2 hours of nature and out there, you and God, or you
Yep.
and your wife and God, and just it's peaceful. And there's, the phone's not going off. And there's no
Resetting.
time restraint, and we love it. We go 20, 30 times a year probably.
That's awesome.
There is a like something happens when your phone's gone and you've accepted it. You know what I mean? It's like, okay,
You've worked through the 5 stages of grief.
yeah. some healing takes over. It is true. Like, yeah, it hasn't happened in a long time, because now if I ever like forget a power cable or something, I just buy a new one wherever I am, because I can't. I'm just too tethered. But there have been times, 10 years ago when I'd gone somewhere, battery dies in the phone. I'm like, guess I'm not gonna have a phone for the next 16 to 24 hours, and you settle in. It's kind of nice. Yeah. So that's good. That's good advice. I like it. All right,
Kayaking in general is good advice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Kayaking is awesome.
It's a comfortable way to be in a boat.
I mean, yeah, but more comfortable would be with a motor.
Yeah, but then you got the noise. Sorry, it's a peaceful way to
So
be.
There you go.
we go
There
where
you
the
go.
motors can't go.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
So then it's quiet.
See, a canoe
you haven't
to
got
me is
somebody-
uncomfortable to sit in.
I used to canoe.
And a motorboat's
there's
fun,
There's no
but it's-
comparison.
it's a different-
kayak. You're just sitting down in it.
You're right on the
You're
water.
comfortable. You're on the water.
Yeah.
You can put your feet up on it.
Our
You
in-laws
can-
gave us a couple of really nice kayaks a
Yeah.
couple of years ago, and it's lovely.
You can move quicker. Yeah, you guys have an incredible spot to do that too.
Yes.
Down right here in the valley, out in the marsh. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, it's
right in around Darlings Island and all
incredible.
that area.
Oh, yeah.
birds
really
and ducks
beautiful
and
spot.
everything. So incredible. I hunt down there, hunt deer and ducks.
Ducks.
So it's one of the best spots around.
I got to send you a song about duck hunting. Remind me.
All right,
He's gonna write that one down.
please do. All right, I got a few things for It Would Behoove You. People have always liked when I recommend books, so I've got a few that I'm working through right now. So in no particular order. First one, is this my camera right here, Ron? We good? This is called Anatomy of the Soul by Kurt Thompson.
MD.
Yeah, he's a clinical psychiatrist and Christian, great writer. He's got several books. This one kind of breaks down just your wiring, how God made you to work, and how the brain works, and all that. It's been good for me because I don't know a whole lot in that arena, and man, it's just anyway. I recommend it if that's of interest to you. It's been
Surprising. I'm trying to read the cover. Surprising connections.
surprising connections between neuroscience and spiritual practices that can transform your life and relationships.
Boom.
Wow.
There you
So
go.
It's
There you go.
really good. All his stuff's really good. So.
That electrical tape. We're doing good.
Yep. And then a couple more lifestyle ones. This one has been fantastic. Have you guys heard of this guy yet? He is blowing up. This guy named Jefferson Fisher. The book's called The Next Conversation, Argue Less, Talk More. And he's a lawyer that just started doing little like pieces of advice in his car on his phone. He blew up a huge social media following. He's everywhere right now. Like he's making the podcast runs.
It can't be everywhere.
He's in my algorithms. That's,
I was going to
that's
say,
for sure.
I spend a lot of time on YouTube and Facebook, and I haven't heard of the guy. But
Anyway, this book is fantastic. He's got like even, and if you don't want to read, he's got a bunch of podcasts where he basically says the things.
Right.
So
Right.
look up Jefferson Fisher though. His stuff is fantastic. I think he has his own podcast actually, which I haven't gotten into, but this is great. He's got stuff like I think his 3 premises are like speak to connect, speak controlled, speak to connect, speak clear. Like he's just got some real hacks on basic conversation, and there's some like Jedi mind stuff for you and your wife in there. Like it's fantastic. on like just
are you
like,
hoping Mel doesn't read it so she doesn't know the
Absolutely.
tricks?
so if she comes to me someday, she's like, "Hey, you're doing that thing." She's like, "I know what you're doing there," but it's fantastic. So
You got to get a different dust cover for that one. It's like fly tying secrets of the great or time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't be interested in it, babe. There we go. There you go.
If I put this book back here that we keep in the back corner, the Song of the Reel.
There you go.
I'll put this sleeve on it
It'll
so
be
she
safe.
never reads it. So that's a banger if you like fly fishing and old stuff, old New Brunswick stuff. That's a great one. That's given to me by a buddy. Actually, a guy we should get in the back corner. Actually, I don't know if he would. He's a little introverted. Daniel Porter. You ever heard of him? He's an artist.
No.
He's like in nature spaces. He's world renowned.
Would he just come and like paint a picture?
I don't think so. He's an artist.
You guys talk.
Yeah,
and
we'll
he can
just
do-
talk while he
can do the
paints.
picture.
Completely
Yeah, there you go.
unrelated.
Yeah.
But
The audio version of that would be really huge. We just mic the canvas so you can hear the brush strokes. It'd be a whole ASMR
Well,
thing.
we could commentate.
You
Like,
could tell what's coming. And
we
what
could
what you're
commentate.
doing.
Like, what was that guy on PBS? Some happy little clouds.
yeah. Bob Ross.
Bob Ross.
He just put in a bird. Oh, there's another bird.
Another bird.
That's a third bird. Guys, we're bordering on a flock over here.
The shading on that beak is phenomenal. Yeah. And then
Spruce?
for any business owners of businesses between $2 million and $50 million, as far as scale goes, this has been really cool. It's called Rocket Fuel. It's about like
It only goes up to 50, you said?
this is specialized for like
No, then I won't-
businesses in
I
that
won't get it
scope and
then.
scale.
Right.
If it only goes up to 50, it's no good to me.
Yeah, so it's just on organizing your organization. Rocket Fuel. It's been helpful to me.
Awesome.
You're gonna probably notice some changes at King's Church in the next 12 to 16 months.
There you go.
And it's because I read this book.
Cool.
So yeah. Anyway, it would behoove you if you're a business owner, go ahead and
Or a King staff member,
King's-
apparently, if you want to know why we're doing whatever we're about to do.
they don't care to know. They just want the clarity. So yeah, it's
I feel
okay.
so behooved. This is
Do
great.
you feel behooved? I do too.
I mean,
feel better.
I love you, bro. But that electrical tape, that's the one for me. I'm going hard on I may or may not ever even touch one of those books, but the electrical tape thing will happen.
There you go.
It
he,
will
He
happen.
can use that, right?
And the coveralls. I need to get a pair of
oh
coveralls.
yeah,
Yeah,
you gotta have
Where do
those.
you get your
You
coveralls?
gotta have those. Usually
Marks?
Work warehouse.
What is the utility of the coveralls? Like, why is it just you feel like you're doing carpentry stuff, or is there an actual reason for it?
So I put the ones I had on Sunday. I haven't worn for a few weeks because the weather's been
Yeah.
a little bit warmer.
Yeah.
Today I dug them out of the truck again and put them on.
Okay.
Because it was cold enough to.
Yeah.
So I like them because everything's right there. My phone,
Right,
my notepad, my pens is all right there. You got pockets everywhere.
pockets for days.
If you put your tool belt around it, it's not pulling your pants down and your back stuck out to the bare weather.
Right.
They're great.
Is
I
there a
wear
zipper
'em-
in the front?
There's,
Because I wouldn't want to have to like disrobe every time I pee.
there's a zipper in the front. Yes.
Zips that far down.
Yes.
I want them just to keep the dust and dirt off.
Well,
my
you can
clothes
get
when
the
I'm in
light
shop.
denim ones. You can get the what I call the ones I had on today are kind of a medium weight, and then you can get the insulated ones.
Yeah. I'm
So
looking for
they're-
the ultra
they're
lights
just
for just
great.
in the shop. Keep the glue and the dust off.
My neighbors
I
know me
destroy
when I'm
more
out in the yard
clothes.
because they see me going in my
the overalls.
right? So they just there he goes again.
I've always been fascinated that coveralls cover less than overalls.
There's a difference.
Yes, there is.
Coveralls are like
Coveralls-
the bib or the bib overalls versus the coveralls are like the.
Oh, like the jumpsuit.
The whole
yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
you. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I might have to grab myself a pair. Just because.
I would love to see you preach in either of those.
There you go.
I actually do have one pair of blue overalls. When we did back in the day, we did at the Imperial Theater. We always did little musical things, and we did a bluegrass band called the Penobscot Pickers.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I wore my coveralls for that.
Nice.
With one of those raccoon hats.
Yep.
So would have
Yeah.
been a good one to wear. I should have wore that
Yeah.
on All Nations Sunday, but. So wanted to do before we get into talking about your book, Alex.
Yep.
I wanted to do a overrated, overhated, which we haven't done in a while either. I feel like it's we're due, and this is a segment where we take a topic that maybe gets some flack or some pushback, or maybe doesn't get enough, and we got to decide: is that overrated? Like maybe people like it too much, or is it overhated? Then hey, we need to look at this again. This gets bad press.
Not as bad as people think it is.
Right. So I got a bunch Father's Day edition, and I got some music to go with it. Do you recognize that?
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Yes,
Tim
but I
the
can't
Toolman.
play it.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that's what.
Home
There we
Improvement.
go.
Home Improvement.
This is like this is the dad home improvement edition of overrated, overhated. So
We were actually watching that series right now.
Really?
Again.
Really?
it holds up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not bad. It's
Every
not-
3 or 4 years, we watch it again just for a laugh, right?
Who was the neighbor that you only saw like
Wilson.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And Al Borland's.
And boy, did they do
classic,
some
"I
tricks to
don't
hide
think
his
so,
face,
Tim."
too.
Oh, yeah.
They get all the time the way that they would do that with the camera.
All right, a light one. Overrated, overhated. Dad jokes. Dad jokes. feel like they get a bad rap. My kid's grown. Overrated or overhated?
I think it depends on the audience, how much they appreciate it.
You want me to get you warmed up?
I mean, if you're
Have you
looking
got a
for a
few?
chance to tell some dad
Have
jokes,
you got a
go
few?
for it.
Always looking for a
Oh,
chance to
there you
tell
go.
some.
There you go.
That one sucks. Okay, here we go.
That one was overrated.
Did you hear about the kidnapping at school?
No.
He woke up.
If that's your example, very much overrated. Underhated. I'm not even going overrated. I'm going underhated.
Why do dads bring an extra pair of socks to golf? Because they got a hole in one.
Oh, yeah, sure
Yeah,
they do.
no, that level of dad joke is horrible.
That deserves a horn blast.
See, now the question is like, those are puns, and puns are the lowest form of humor.
I disagree.
Well, you're wrong.
My pastoral
Of all the contentious issues you and I have debated on this podcast, this is the one I'll die on.
This is a real text that I sent and got back last week from Mr. Greg Hansen. Me and Greg have a long-standing tradition of sending puns back and forth. So I sent him this one. Bigfoot frequently gets confused with Sasquatch, yet he never complains. And then Greg sends back, that was abominable.
Oh, dear.
And he goes, Snowman should tell a pun like that.
That's pretty good.
Greg is good.
That's good.
He is really good.
That's good.
If you know Greg, nothing about this is surprising.
That is abominable.
And he's
If you
probably
were to
quick to
ask
get
me,
back to you.
what kind of joke does Greg Hansen like, I'd be, seems like a pun guy to me.
100% a pun.
There is, I say that. My son Isaac and I engage in punnery somewhat frequently.
It's not the lowest form.
But he's a I wouldn't say it's I mean, what? It's not like it can be funny, but I don't think it's like masterful.
What did the janitor say when he jumped out of the closet? The janitor came out of the closet. What did he say?
I don't know.
Supplies.
That's from UHF with
I don't know what it's
Weird Al.
from. ChatGPT gave it to me.
Oh, well, it's ripping it off from Weird Al. Yeah,
They're pretty good.
I would say dad jokes are exactly the correct amount of rated versus hated. Like, they're not amazing, but they have their place. I don't think anyone's ever going to go down in history as like this genius dad joke maker, but at the same time, they can be good for a laugh. I would say this: if your kids laugh at them with you, keep doing them. It's a good way to bond.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep.
I like that. Overrated or overhated?
I agree with him.
I'm going overhated.
I think
Yeah.
I'm going overhated. I feel like they provide levity, which is a scarce commodity in our day.
I think though that they tend to be groaners.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
that's the magic.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying like by their very nature, the derision, like they are overhated, which is the point.
Which is so like
So they're
so multi-layered. It's
Right.
it's so
their overhatedness is what makes them what they are. Therefore, they are overrated because they should be overhated in order to be the thing they are, which is great.
wow.
I'm lost. I'm lost.
That was a Jordan Peterson answer there. What was that?
It's not abundantly clear to me why.
Yeah. Next.
It's not obvious. It's not obvious to me.
It is
why.
amazing how close a Jordan Peterson impression is to a Kermit the Frog
Yeah.
impression.
Yeah.
Hey-oh.
Yeah.
It's not immediately apparent to me why it would be easy being green.
That's awesome. Okay, let's do another lighthearted one, and then we'll get into some more real ones on overrated, overrated. Dad bod, overrated or overhated?
Dad bod.
Dad bod. That's I feel like it's a generational thing. I feel like the millennial and Gen X generation have made dad bod a thing. It's not being overweight, but it's certainly not being fit.
It's a little
Okay.
soft in the middle.
And there's I mean, maybe the lady dozens can chime in the comments, but there's
No, the lady doesn't have too much self-respect.
there is a lot of ladies out there, my wife included. She prefers me a little heavier than I even am right now. So she likes the dad bod a little bit more than fit bod. I'm not conceding to that because I want to live long and prosper. However, yeah, some of anyway, what do you think? Dad bod, overrated, overhated?
I don't really have an opinion on that.
Don't have a dog in the fight?
No, I have like, do the best you can to be healthy and carry on with it. I don't know.
I mean, it's good for unfit dads everywhere.
If you have a dad bod and you found a lady who's into that, I am happy for
There
you.
you go. That's a trait.
And hey, if that's the bod you intend to have,
Good for you.
Maybe
Great.
keep that in mind when you're picking a lady. But
like up front, just hey,
be like, look, this is as good as this is gonna get.
First date. What are your thoughts on dad bods?
If I let this go another like 30%, are you still gonna be into this?
Picture me in 10 years.
Well, that dad bod's going to change. Yes, from
Picture me in 10
30 to
years.
40 to 50. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, I had more of a
Yeah.
dad bod dating Melanie than I have now.
I do think it's
Right.
funny the notion. I mean, this is a bit of a tangent, but the notion like. It's this common idea that women are given these unrealistic body standards to live up to as opposed to men.
Yes.
Yes.
And then you look at like I grew up on Schwarzenegger and Stallone
Right.
and like Hogan. And you're just like, I think everybody has unrealistic like body expectations to live up to. Like
Fair enough.
like do you know how hard you have to diet to look like the girls in the magazines? Like, do you know how much steroids you have to do to look
Right.
like the guys in the movie? You're like,
Yeah, exactly.
just you don't need to get surgery. You don't need to pump yourself full of roids. Try to have the body you have and be as healthy in it as you can be.
I saw something funny on Facebook. Ron, can you pull that picture up? Sorry for our listeners. You're going to have to watch this, but let me read this to you. So the man in this photo was taken in 1946. This guy, Ken Shimizu, he's 35 years old. He has 2 children. Shimizu never runs, sleeps late, eats whatever he wants, even drinks beer instead of water, eats dinner with many kinds of food every night. What does Shimizu do to get in such a body? Shimizu doesn't have any secrets. Shimizu is the person sitting in the bottom left corner of the photo. As for the man standing in the middle, I'm not sure. Gold. That one got me. So for those who are listening, there's a man behind an extremely fit dude that's not so fit.
It's like that one uncle you have sitting in the blurry background of Bruce Lee.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like just
right.
the like not huge but absolutely ripped.
All right, here's one. Here's a fathering one on overrated, overhated. Being buddies or friends, particularly with your little kids, with your kids as they're growing up, childhood, teen years, being friends.
Boy.
Overrated, overhated. I've seen some parenting styles that were like, I want to be friends with my kid to the point where they veer away from being the disciplinary.
Yeah.
Overrated, overhated.
If that's what you're taking as your primary role, I'd say overrated. But I would say building a relation, like what's going to allow you to parent your kids once they're past the age where you actually have any meaningful influence over them, like control influence, like when you can't just pick them up and take them to where they need to be or whatever, is relational currency.
Yeah.
And so I think you need to be a dad first, but I think having a good rapport with your kids, I think having like we were just talking like with inside jokes that are yours, little family traditions, that kind of stuff. I think that actually it's not an either or. You need to be the dad first. I think there's something to be said for a friendship because that friendship becomes the leverage you have as a parent down the road.
I
Like they, they'll stop listening to their dad because you're my dad and you call the shots, but you can still have some sort of influence if they just like hanging out with you and are interested in you. But you can't, to your point, that can't go, I will not do what a dad ought to do in terms of boundaries and discipline and saying no in order to be a friend. But I think that friendship can a lot of times be the spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine of authority go down.
That's good. Alex? You gotta-
Yeah, I'd add to that a little bit because that dynamic changes as they get older.
Yes.
So when they're younger, yes, you're the dad, you're the discipline part of it, you're their friend, and as they get older, they start to spread their wings into new friendships. But I think then it turns to a little bit of a respect thing
Yes.
to you too,
Yeah.
right? So, and then I always say from that 14 to 19, you're still there for them. They're still doing their thing with their friends, but you're still the dad. You're still saying you got to come in at such and such a time. You got to do this. No, you can't go there. That type of thing.
Yeah.
And then when they get into their 20s, all of a sudden they shift and you're a friend again. They like you again. It's like, yeah, I've got my own kid. I know what you're talking about now, right? I mean, yeah, I understand where you were coming
No
from.
wonder you're so tired all the time, Dad.
Yeah, no wonder. Yeah,
I get it now.
Yeah, I get it now,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah,
you know,
and then I'm sure you're the only one that's a grandparent here. I'm sure that's a whole different.
whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
So I get
Is that amazing?
Then 100% friendship all the way down.
seven grandkids.
Spoil ship.
Wow.
So the oldest just turned 13 in April.
Wow.
And she still thinks we're cool to be around. So you enjoy that
Yes.
moment. They want to do things with you. They want to go with you. They want to, whatever you're doing, they want to be there.
I was with the guy at a pastor's cohort I'm part of, and he was the only guy he's like, I just became a grandfather, and he's the only guy in the room. He's like, guys, this is amazing, and he goes, this is the funnest stage of my life yet.
Yep.
Wow.
But he goes, you know those like $600 water toys they have at Costco? I figured out who buys those. Grandparents.
Yeah.
Like just the dumbest stuff.
Totally. Yeah.
Just to spoil.
I have the big pump action water
Yeah,
pistols.
exactly.
And, oh
Yeah,
yeah. We open it right up,
It's like,
right?
now I know. I
Yeah.
think I like your point, and this is what
Yeah.
I would say. I don't know if it's overrated or overhated. I think what I'm discovering is that being friend, it depends on the season,
Right.
right? So this isn't original to me, but I've heard it said before. Like when they're babies, you're caregiver. Like producer Ron is in caregiver mode.
Right.
Like little babies, we're running to the ER, antibiotics, go to bed, brush your teeth. And then you go from caregiver to cop, where you're monitoring. They're doing a little bit their own thing, but you're in those like preteen, teen years, you're kind of a cop. And then I think it goes from caregiver, cop, coach. Young adulthood. Getting married. I'm guiding you to make good decisions. I can't choose for you, but and then I think it goes to confidant. After that, like just like that, it comes back around. It's
Right.
no longer a coaching
Right.
thing. It's like I want to pick your brain on this because now I understand
Right.
why you're so tired all the time, or why you did those things. So
I could track with that.
yeah,
I think there's a risk of oversimplifying it though. Like you don't have to just be one thing,
right.
right? You have to have a primary thing, like that's the
Yeah.
driver, right? But like, if you have no fun interactions with your kid through their preteen and early teen years
Yes.
because you're a cop, it's probably
Right.
not going to work.
Right.
Right.
You
Right.
should have. Maybe there's
Right.
one dominant.
That's what I'm
thing,
saying. Like
but
there's
elements
the
of
what is
all
the
of them.
primary role, but again, like, or if you are a cop, think of yourself more as like the neighborhood policing cop who's just out there being friends with people, not just pulling over speeders
Yeah.
and arresting people.
Playing
like,
Right.
basketball with
Right.
the kids with
right,
the full
totally,
kit on.
yeah,
exactly.
like that guy,
Right.
the dude doing an ollie with the mace and
Yeah.
the baton and all that jingling off.
That's so endearing when you see that.
I love it.
I love when you see the police officers do that. But yeah, it's been interesting now that like my daughter's 17. My
Yeah,
son's-
you're just into that.
and
Yeah.
I don't know why it just doesn't occur to me like when my kids were in Ron's kids stage that they're going to grow up and I'm going to enjoy like a relational level that it's just never occurred to me that like we're going to laugh deeply together.
Right.
And I'm going to enjoy being around you. I'm going to want to know like
When your
what
kid,
you're thinking and
like humor is a big thing for me, and when your kid starts like cracking you up, not because they did a funny thing, but because they thought of something and put the words together. Like, and I'm a big words guy. Like, put the words together in a way that like it's wild. You're like, I'm laughing deeply at a person I made.
Yeah.
It's such a surreal experience,
Yeah.
right? And
And each kid is different. So
Oh, yeah.
so as the dad, you have to
Some kids are more different than others.
Oh, you have to learn that
Yes,
role too.
right.
The personalities are different. The needs are different. The way they reacted to different things. Like you have to learn that also
Yep.
as a daddy, especially through those teen years. And
I would think even that. Sorry, I would
when
think
we
even
moved
that
up
plays
here
into
from
that.
Graham and Ann, our son Greg was starting grade 11, and Marissa, our daughter, was starting grade 9, and then Holly, the youngest, was starting grade 5. So Marissa, of the three, I feel had the hardest time because we took her from a kid, 200 kids in Graham and Ann to 1,200 kids at KV High,
Yeah.
and took her out of a basketball program and that type of thing. Greg fit in really quick. He got involved in the musicals and student council and that type of thing. Then Holly at grade 5 developed that group of friends that she came up through with at that age.
Yeah.
But grade 9, that's
Yeah.
a hard for a girl
disorienting.
to,
Yeah.
that was a hard transition for her.
It's a little different, it seems, for, I mean, I've noticed with my kids, but also I was in youth ministry for years. There's a zone in there, and it's a little different for each kid, but somewhere between like grade 8 and 10 usually, that's just terrible.
Yep.
Yes.
Like it's just a horrible time to
Yep.
be alive.
Yep.
You're facing the realities of the world
Yep.
with a brain that is legitimately not
Yeah.
wired right. Like
Yeah.
it's being rewired through adolescence, and it's just like there was a time when I used to be like, yeah, like being a teenager is hard, and legitimately these days when I see a kid who's again somewhere between that like grade 8 and 9 or 10, like I almost just feel like just walking up to him out of the blue and just going,
gonna be
I am so sorry.
it's gonna be all right.
Yeah, like
You're gonna
this
get
is
through
terrible.
this.
You're gonna make it, but like if life seems horrible right now, like
Yeah.
that's the normalest thing in the world. Like it's just hard to be that age.
It is a window, isn't it? Just yesterday, when, my wife was telling me that a girl from the church came up to her and just said, "Man, I've seen such a positive shift in Ava, your daughter." Like, and again, it's like, yeah, she's in grade 11.
Yeah,
gonna
you
be in
just
grade
survived
12.
that. Yeah.
And Melanie asked Ava, she's like, someone said this about you and that you've changed, and it's just awesome. And Ava was like, yeah, I have. I feel like, I'm just in a better place and I'm a better person than I was, and I don't feel quite as hopeless. And, so it didn't help, going through grade 8 with COVID and all
Yeah.
No,
the shutdowns.
totally.
That's
So
right.
that was a tough beat for some of those
Yeah.
kids, but yeah. Let's do a couple more rapid fire.
All right, let's do it.
I got a couple
Okay.
more. Here's one. I don't know. You might not have much to say on this one.
Oh, I'll have an opinion.
Okay.
It might be completely unfounded.
As
but I'll
a dad,
have one.
you have two beautiful daughters. As a dad of a daughter, overrated, overhated, being super ultra intimidating, overprotective,
Oh,
or is it appropriate to,
wow.
especially in the dating pool and all that?
Be
stuff?
overprotective, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Overhated then. It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
You better be.
Yeah.
Be there for them. I won't bring up the ones I'm thinking of right now, but I arrived at Superstore or at Shoppers one night at Tim's where they all hang out and to pick up one of the daughters, and she was not supposed to be there. And everybody in that parking lot knew who Alex was by the
yeah.
time I was gone.
Yeah.
There was two young men that, I had a little chat with. But
Yeah.
you know what? She thanked me for that later on. Dad, you always stood up for me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you always fought for me
Yeah.
when I was struggling and when I was down. So when you hear that, that means no, it doesn't feel that great at that time.
Yeah.
And they don't like you at that time.
Right.
But
That's part of the challenge. The challenge of parenting in general is going like, I'm going to have to do some things that my kid is not going to like right now.
right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
you
hopefully they'll come to
definitely-
like it later. But
Definitely be there to protect them.
Jefferson Fisher says, when you have to have a hard conversation, you start with, "You're not going to like what I have to say,"
There you go.
because it sets a high bar,
Right. Yep.
And then usually it comes in lower. So just a little callback there to Jefferson Fisher.
that's a smart technique.
You ever hear the Willie Robertson? Willie Robertson from
Yep.
Duck Dynasty. He's I don't know where I heard him say this. He's like, yeah, when my daughter started dating, when the boys would come to the door, I'd say, "You have her back here at 10," and I would throw a shotgun shell and they'd catch it. And I go, if you're late, the next one's coming quicker.
That's a line from Justified.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a line from Willie.
Well, maybe
And they
Justified
got it
copied
from
Willie.
Willie.
I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah. I thought I was going to be a big tough guy, but Ava had her first relationship this past year, and like, you know, I wasn't quite as. But the kid didn't trigger my
Wasn't a dirt bag.
my spidey sense wasn't tingling, so I figured this is a good enough kid, and they're going to be fine. But yeah, she shows up with the wrong boy, he'll know it. I think that's the.
Yep.
All of my guns and weapons are in Ava's closet.
Yep.
That's great. I've got a buddy who's got 3 daughters, and we always used to joke about like when they started bringing home boys, he was going to have a 6 foot deep hole dug in the woods next to their house, and he was just going to, come on, son. Just take the young guy for a walk. Just want to have a little chat with him. Talk about just the weather or sports, or just walk out to the hole and stand there for a few minutes.
Don't even say anything.
Yeah. No, that's about 6 feet deep there. Yeah,
That's funny.
So, who's your favorite ball team? Oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
How about okay, one more. Spanking, overrated or overhated? There's a tough one,
Whether that's overrated or overhated, I think depends a lot on who you're talking to.
and who the kid is.
Everybody's thinking on this one.
I think it's overhated. I think it's been a useful tool in my life, both on the receiving end, delivering end. So,
I mean, my dad wasn't like or my parents. My mom was a spanker, but if you know my mom and you've seen me,
and seeing your mom, yeah,
that's what. My mom is
there
5
a breeze?
1/4.
Is there a breeze in the room?
I would not stop talking to my brother while she spanked me. We'd just chat.
I can also see that.
see that.
Too,
So,
yeah.
well, she'd be out there with just a wooden spoon telling me to go to bed, and she'd just be swatting away. And I'm like, so anyways, the other thing that happened today. But I got a few good ones from my dad, but nothing like, again, the notion that all spanking is categorically abusive or something, I think is wrong. The notion that it's a expression of anger, I think is wrong. And I do think there are some things that when a kid, especially, I actually think some form of, whether you call it spanking, but some form of corporal punishment, physical discipline, there's a point where kids are old enough to stick their finger in an electrical socket, but not old enough to have a conversation about why that's wrong. That sometimes I think whatever consequence you need to give them, but a consequence that they immediately associate with that dangerous activity that is less dangerous than the activity. Like, I think there's a place for, you're actually lovingly giving them a lesser consequence for something that would have a very serious consequence. How that scales up over time and age, and
Yeah.
my kids are old enough, I don't ever have to figure that out again.
And they're big boys too. So now's not the time to take
No.
Isaac over your knee.
No, I mean my youngest is about 6'4", and and
I always tell everybody I should have been spanked more than I was. So that's the way I looked at it, right? My dad was neither of them really were, but then we always knew when we had drawn the line. Yeah. My brother was not quite 2 years younger than me, and he was the youngest of the 4. And so we knew when we had gone too far. I can remember Dad pulling us out of Sunday school. That's back when Sunday school everybody used to be together in the church, and you sang your songs, and you did it before you went to your classrooms. Well, my brother and I were acting up. He comes up and tells us to cut it out, calm down. We don't. Next thing we know, he's got us by the scuff of the neck, and he's pulling us out of the church. And we're headed to the car. And my brother and I are having this conversation. This isn't good. Dad's leaving the church. Dad never left the church, right? So on the way home, we're in the back seat of the car. What's going to happen here? So we drive in the driveway. All right, see that alder patch down there? I want you to go down and pick one and bring it back. So on the way down, we're both in tears, my brother and I, and we're probably like 7 and 5 at this point. And I'm like, so we're discussing this thing. So do we get a big one? Because that's just going to kind of hit hard. But if you get a really thin one, it's going to snap and really hurt. We're having this discussion on the way down to the race. So we get one.
I'm just picturing you down there taking turns with each other to figure out which has to be best.
We get one and we bring it back. And by then, he looks at us and said, "Now, boys, have you learned your lesson?" "Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have." "All right, get back in the car because we're not going to miss church."
very smart.
So we learned our lesson, but he made us pick our weapon, right?
I would say that any form of discipline, like you have to be selective with how you use it, because any form of discipline that gets used over and over again just becomes part of the drone of
Yes,
life.
yeah.
And so whether that's timeouts
Right,
or
right.
grounding or spanking or whatever it is, like I grew up in a Christian school that gave detentions constantly. And it stopped being a deterrent. I just planned my day around having
Right.
detention. Like
Right.
that was just part of life. And it wasn't discipline anymore. It was just part of going to that school. And I would say, yeah, like I know I'd like to think, that we were wise with discipline with our kids in this area. I would say one of the things that was, I mentioned my dad, if you needed a spanking, he could deliver it. But it was like a handful of times growing up
Yeah,
because it was, I remember the first time and last time I lied to my dad.
Right.
And that was,
Yeah.
I learned a very valuable lesson that day that shaped my character.
Yeah.
But it wasn't one of those, like every time I came home 5 minutes late for curfew or whatever, there was some massive, like sometimes there was just a reminder of what the rules are. And sometimes there was like a more, minor consequence or whatever. And it kind of escalated up from there. And I would say, the other thing I think I would say on spanking too is it should probably never be a standalone thing. And especially once your kid is old enough to have some sort of meaningful conversation, like if you can help them to understand, that's so much better than just teaching them.
Yeah.
Because kids don't naturally know why you have the rule you have.
Yes.
Right. So here's the reason why you can't do this. And you can't. And there will be consequences if you do. But it's not just a dad woke up today thinking this would be a bad thing to do and you can't because I don't like it or whatever.
I think that consequences
Yep.
word is the key, and figuring out what those look like for each kid in different circumstances and scenarios.
I had a friend growing up. I'll say his first name because it's relevant to the story, but very few people who are listening will know who he is. But my buddy Benson will. Corey was his name, and Corey was pretty high strung. And at church, he'd be yelling or screaming or running, doing something just a little too much. And his dad would always appear from somewhere and just go, "Let's go for a little walk, Cor." And they'd disappear down to the janitor's closet in our church.
Supplies.
And Corey,
Supplies, supplies.
Corey would come back about 3 minutes later. "You guys want to play tag?" Like he was ready to go back. But it was just one of those things you're like, "Oh man, Corey, learn, buddy, learn." Like
You're just not getting
figure
it.
out where the line is, man.
You're not.
But
And
ag-
some kids don't.
But
right?
that's just it. And it's one of those, like, I don't know that it was an effective form of discipline for him. Like, I don't ever recall a moment seeing him process, this would be a step too far and I'd have to go for a little walk with my dad, right? And so, yeah, some kids,
I did not see that coming.
It's like the 3 count. Some kids will take
Right.
you to the 3.
Right.
somebody
One of our kids, I could look at him when I said 1, it was over.
Yeah.
somebody needs to figure out,
yes.
It was just over.
Yeah.
you know,
And
the
then
love
she knew.
languages
Some
thing?
will push you to that limit, right?
You know, the love languages. Somebody needs to figure
Discipline
the
language.
like really. Like I think there are some kids
There's
who are
my
like,
book.
take away
If you take away
something they like.
yep.
You know, you got to go to your room. I don't care. I'll go to my room for days on end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
You can't have this toy.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Like figuring out kind of what is that thing that's going to help them to.
I only
There's
had
something
this-
to be said too for once the kids get to a certain age, just letting them experience the actual consequences of their bad decisions too. Like life will discipline you
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah, for sure. And you can't shield them from all of it for sure. All my kids, all 3 of them were spanked once. And then they were like, "Oh, I don't like that." So, that was that.
Can I get the list of things that this is the consequence of, and I'll just take those
just
right
having
off.
that hanging over there. That's a possibility. It was always
In this home, we spank for it. So those like
Yeah.
we love, we forgive, we whatever.
we spank for the following. Yeah.
For the following.
Well, Alex, you released a book, man. That's a huge accomplishment. And well, tell people what the book is first. Give us the title. Maybe
Okay.
show the camera, and we can link in the show notes too. I think is it buy it from you? Like, how do people get copies?
So you can purchase it from me. I have copies at home. You can also get it on Amazon.
There you go. Yeah.
Which is what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Especially people who are from out of the area. I mean, that's the easiest way for them.
Yeah, well, at
to
least
get- and then we're going to different places too.
Yeah.
We're going to Grand Manan on Saturday. So we've got a number of people who've already messaged us that'll be there.
How long's it been out
to,
for?
to do a book signing? About a month.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fresh,
hot off
fresh.
the press. Hot
Yeah.
off the press.
Yeah.
What?
So where do I put that for the camera?
Just
Anywhere.
straight on.
Sure.
There you go. There you
There's
go.
117
Yeah.
cameras here. One
There
of
you
them will
go.
catch
You got
it.
them everywhere.
Title: Where did my son go?
Right.
And the subtitle: Father's Reflections on Drug Abuse, Loss, and Fighting to Keep the Faith. And I got the honor of writing the foreword.
Yes, he did.
So I haven't written a book, but I wrote a
Yes.
heck of an endorsement for
Yeah.
Sermon Craft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to write the.
You're a
the,
published author.
Yeah, that's
Your
right.
Ford is published. Your
Yes.
endorsements published.
Yeah, exactly.
There you
I'm on a few books for
take a look at this
endorsements.
thing.
So, but what? So let's what made you first before we get into the story? What made you want to write?
Well, really, I never had any plans on writing. We've been through this 20-year journey, and my wife actually wrote first. Her book came out 2.5 years ago.
Can you get that on Amazon as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sing, Dance, Pray, and she has some of these at home too, and still has them as we go around
Yep.
to different places. So she came out. Hers was what I would call more of a healing process at that time. A lot of poetry, prose, stories, short stories. A lot of people like it for devotional type thing.
Yeah.
But it was her journey. As we encouraged her, the counselor and I encouraged her to write these things down. Then she started putting it out there, and then she would get responses from people. So hers came together 2.5 years ago.
Yes.
2 years ago, January.
Yeah.
I had no intention of doing a book.
Right.
I was still in my healing process, grieving process. This book helped me. We both say now, Joanne and I both say, hers wouldn't happen without me. Mine wouldn't happen without her.
Right.
It's just the way that's worked out. This book really brought a healing process. Joanne's book for me. I would sit there and read her writings and tears coming down my eyes because it was gut wrenching to me because it's our story.
Yeah. You knew where it was coming
Yeah,
from.
it's our story. And so about a year ago, 2024, January 2024, I had to decide really where am I going with my own spiritual life, my spiritual walk. Where am I going with my own journey? Not happy with what I was doing in life. I enjoy what I do for work. I love putting things together, that type of thing. But I wasn't happy as far as what's my ministry going to be? What's my next stage in life?
Hey.
You know, I'm 59 in this July. I've got 7 grandchildren, you know, that I put as much as I can into their lives. And so God started speaking to me through a lot of prayer, through a lot of spending time. Where am I going in the next season in my life? And about a year ago, April, the voice just started coming to me, start writing, start putting it down. I held off on that for a little bit. And because it is a vulnerable thing to do. It's hard to put that out there.
Right.
To put your story out there. You know, there's shame, there's guilt, there's grief, there's all these different emotions that are there. And the first thing that happens is when people see that a child's gone off the rails, well, guess who they blame first? The parent,
Yeah.
right? So that's the first thing they do.
Yep.
Well, what did they do to screw him up or her up, or why did they do this or why did they do that? I made mistakes too. I did crazy things when I was 18, 20 years old that I knew better, right? So then it just became that I really had to put this into a book form. I am not a social media guy. I'm not a techie guy. So I just started writing it in a scribbler. And it just started flowing out of me. So I would literally sit down for 2 or 3 hours out on the deck. Started a year ago, May, and it just started coming out of me. And then the next thing I know, and then it's like it's just all in there. Same as Joanne, all those she would say, it's bubbling out of me. It's bubbling out of me. I can't even keep up with it. Like it's just coming out of me. So the same thing happened to me. I'd be writing so fast, and then I go back, and then she had to take. I credit her in the book. She became my first editor and my typist. She had to put it together and take my handwritten mess and
Try to read it.
here on this page I'd have an arrow. No, I want this up in here instead before this paragraph, and I want this. So she had to do all that, hours and hours of putting that together. It would have taken me 2 years to type the thing, so she had to put that together. So the book came out of really my walk from losing my dad 2 years ago to me to my son. So thinking that all through, of my dad who I have the most respect for. I miss his wisdom every day. Different times I just wish I could call him and what do you think about this, Dad? He just had such a balance on life and on his faith and on his family. And so when my dad passed away, I think that kind of started the process. And then of course, we were dealing with our son and thinking from Dad to me to him and then his family to Greg's family. And so it brought that, it started to bring that together and started coming out of me. I didn't plan on writing a book 2 years ago. I had after Joanne wrote a book, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I knew how much work she put into it, and there is a ton of work that goes into putting a book together. To the editing, the editing is just crazy. How much is involved in that, and people proofreading it and going back to it again, and the quotes that you come up with, and all the searches you do for different things, and fitting things together. So, the book was not a planned thing, but God planned it, and I wanted it to be used to speak to other people who I think there's so many out there that are dealing with whether it's drug abuse, alcohol abuse, the prodigal child type thing. There's so many out there dealing with this, but don't want to tell anybody about it,
Right.
because they want to hold it in, and they don't want their friends or their family. We just met with a couple a few weeks ago, and they shared our story. They shared their story with us, and something they're dealing with now. And I'm like, have you told anybody? No. Have you told any of your best friends at church or like somebody that can pray for you? No. Wow. We just don't feel like we could bring that story out. But we're very thankful that you did. I'm like, okay. But you need to reach out. We came to that point, a few years after we were into this. We came to that point that we had a small group from the church. We've got to get together with people, and we've got to let people know what's on our hearts, what we're dealing with.
Can we back up and
Yep.
give the listeners kind of the Cole's Notes version of the story that you've come through, and some of the like what you're describing is like this has been part of your healing
Yes.
process, and it's subsequently, I think, going to be so helpful for so many parents that are in the same situation, maybe different details,
Right.
but same heartache.
Right.
But give us the story though of, so people know where you're coming from on what you've gone through, some of the stuff you write about in the book as far as your testimony. And
So 20 years ago, Greg will be 39 in September.
Greg's your son.
Greg's the oldest. Yep. And so Joanne and I are brought together in a unique situation. We dated in high school for 2 years. Then we went our separate ways. She got married. And on the day Greg was born, her husband was killed on the way to the hospital to see her and Greg.
Brutal.
So we then came back together. We knew each other. And a year later, married. And then that family from family of 3 became a family of 5. And I always looked at this story as God's story. What's God's intention for this boy, for this young man? And that still haunts me. That still haunts me to this day of why God, why didn't this work out the way I thought you would plan for the story to come together? And, so he started dabbling in some things. He still managed to get through 6 years of university, 4 at Kingswood, 2 at Acadia Divinity. Still managed to get married. Had 2 kids, and it was kind of a roller coaster ride for a while. It would be smooth for a bit, and then it would go down for a bit, and then it would come back up, and then meanwhile we're dealing with. But then we kept watching it get worse and worse, and to him dabbling into mind altering drugs, and which was devastating to me because he had a 4.0. Like it was unbelievable how keen this young guy was.
Smart guy. Yeah.
A very he spent 10 years working at Caton's Island. All the kids loved him. So it was devastating to me because I would tell him. I remember telling him as a kid and as a teenager, you've been given a gift. I don't have that gift. I have a gift of the trades and those type of things. But you have that mind that you've been given. I could see him being a professor or a teacher of religion or that type of thing, and he liked to debate with people.
Yes, he did.
So yeah, so to see that go downhill, to see those dreams, to see that loss, and then the pain like that we had to go through from, him losing his wife to losing his children, custody of his children. We still stuck close with her. We were trying to be there for her any way we could be, financially, emotionally, helping her, whether it was moving, whatever, with a car, whatever it was. We still were going to be the grandparents, and we were still going to be there with her in the midst of all he was going through. And, as a dad, I've got 3 kids, and you're in this day and age, you're thinking, well, at some point, one of my kids is going to go through a crisis. At some point, one of my kids may get divorced. At some point, one of my kids may lose a child. You think those things as you get older, but never did I ever think we were going to be going down this road.
Right.
And, to the journey of him being in jail 4 different times, and the last time being prison. Never did we ever see us going down this road. So I came through a grief period, a long grief period, dealing with my own health issues, dealing with my own, side effects from medication, dealing with, trying to keep a business going, dealing with day-to-day family things, my wife's parents, losing them. All these things were happening kind of in that same time frame when the crisis was really hitting. And
Seems
it just
to be the way it goes.
Yeah, it just seemed like everything was just coming bam, bam, bam. And even though this was the main part of the story. So in the book, I share some vulnerable things from my perspective as a dad. It's my reflection, and I got to tell enough of his story to tell my story.
Absolutely.
But as you know, you've read it, and I made clear that I in no way wanted to demean him or put him down or make him look like a terrible person. He's still my son, and I'll still fight for him and still looking for those little miracles every day that we're seeing. So I didn't want to do that, but I had to tell enough of the story. So there's some things that I hit just to the surface, and there's other things that I hit a little more deeply, just to let people know what we were dealing with. I mean, even just your marriage, like what it does to your marriage as a unity to try to deal with this together. What do we do with this situation? Now, what do we do with this problem? Now, what do we do with she's moving out of the house with the kids? He's back in jail again. Like, we had to unify together on those, even though we were both going through our grief periods. Separately, but together. And so, I really want this to make a difference to people that are dealing with that now. There's so many families that are dealing with these situations.
What are the so like just to zoom in on the what you guys walked through, and then what we know is like I don't know everybody in the church, but I know of dozens of like families that are going through. They have a son that's off the rails or
Right.
making some bad decisions and just ripping their heart out.
Right.
What are some of the maybe the most common what's the word? Just the most common ways that people are just walking in the pain of this almost alone, like what are the ways you feel that the most, that like even just, I think one of the best things that book's going to do for people is just like I'm not alone in, you know, how I feel about this. What are some of the things, I guess, that you're processing when your child's going through that on a personal level that, you know, would be encouraging maybe for other parents that are in it to be like, yeah, it's normal that you're fighting this feeling or this this line of thinking
Right.
is going to attack you. Those kinds of things.
Right. I guess I would encourage people to seek out and reach out to somebody that they trust and somebody that they know they can talk to, who will pray for them, for their family. And it might even be somebody who's going through the same situation or a similar situation. I mean, there are family breakdown situations. I mean, we have people coming to us now. It has nothing to do with drugs or alcohol or abuse or any. They've just broken down. Like, you know, parents that are coming to us in tears. Our daughter hasn't let us see our grandkids for 6 or 7 years because of a grudge that she's holding against us. And you're going, life's too short for that, man. Like. So, but it's difficult. I understand. It's been hard for us to really lay it out there, and to admit what has happened. It's hard for, I think, a lot of parents hold that in. And
what are the reasons? What are the main reasons? Like, I mean, you guys have gotten over the hurdle and just said we're gonna lay this out here. What are the things, I guess, that you were fighting before you
I think
did
some
that?
of the things that you're thinking is, what are people going to think of me?
Right.
You know,
I'm a bad parent.
Yeah, my son's gone to jail. Well, gee, has he got a dad, or what does his dad do to him, or what did, you know, how did he screw him up, or that type of thing. The moms, I watched Joanne through this. Hers was a lot of shame, and pain with that, because, you know, what did I miss? Right. What did we do wrong? What should we have done that all those questions come to you. You know, I wouldn't let her go there because I'm like, no, there's nothing you could have done. I mean, anybody that knows my wife and she is the, you know, the pillar of our family, the grandkids, our daughters, and Greg, like they all just look up to her so highly. So it's nothing, you know, nobody's perfect. I mean, my parents weren't perfect. My parents were awesome parents. Yeah. And I have the utmost respect for my parents. And did they make mistakes? Sure they did. Were there times they weren't there as much as they could have been? Sure. I mean, we all face that, right? But I think a lot of it is shame for people to come out and say, my kid is doing such and such, or they get into this, or
I think the way we talk about parenting in the church a lot of times implies that if you parent right, you can control the outcome.
Right.
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 Like being a good parent is evidenced by the choices your kids make and how they turn out.
And that approves you somehow or disqualifies you.
And so you have people will say, like, you want to do this, and this as a parent so that your kids will.
Right.
As though you control your children somehow. And I think if you look like the best father ever, God, his kids don't always turn out great. I mean, I've been down some journeys like this, my friend.
I mean, and then you know,
I think there's a way that the church inadvertently adds to that sense of shame by the way they talk about people.
Yeah, so as it's from a Christian perspective, there's also guilt from that perspective. As you know, the verses come to your mind: teach a child in the way they should go, and they will not depart from it. Yeah. Well, okay,
it's a proverb, not a promise.
Yeah, right.
It's odds are right, not a guarantee.
But there's those different, you know, and like with his story, I really thought, and I still do. I still smile at times thinking, you know, we've told Greg, you know, God can redeem your story. Mm-hmm. And I still have belief in my heart that he will do that and that he can tell his story from his point of view too. We never gave up on him But in the midst of that, we also had to learn some really difficult things as parents, as putting up boundaries.
Right.
I have a chapter in there on that, in enabling boundaries, those type of things that you have to learn. I've seen too many parents, as soon as the kid gets in trouble, they bail them out.
Every single time.
Every time. And that isn't correct either. If you're going to learn, you're going to learn the hard way. Most of the things I learned in life, I've learned the hard way, right? And they just keep bailing them out. You can't do that either. But as a Christian, you think, well, how come this didn't go smoothly? How come this story hasn't gone the way that I planned for this story to go, and the way I thought God was going to have this story go? So, I guess you have to tell people to reach out. We went to a small group, opened up to them. We went to courses. We read books. We dove in. A couple that we met from the church who had dealt with that with one of their children, we talked to them. They counseled us on different things. We went to counseling ourselves to a Christian counselor that goes to the King's Church here. I don't know what we would have done without her. She took us through that journey. Joanne went for a while, and then I started going with her, and really, really helped me out. So you really need to step out, or you're going to be in trouble.
Well, like, the enemy is part of,
Yes.
I think, all of this, right? Like, when I hear like shame is keeping me, well, it's not the Holy Spirit that's dispensing shame, right? It's I think the enemy wants us to keep our pain and things in the dark, and to keep the Lord and the people of God and healing from being able to really begin to happen, to kind of keep it compartmentalized. So I think when I hear you talking, like the shame piece, for instance, like even what you were saying, AJ, about, I don't know if like a preacher would get up and like explicitly say, if you do these things with your kids, they're going to turn out good.
It gets very close to explicit.
Yeah. Well,
In ways a lot of people don't realize. They don't.
Sure.
They don't know they're saying it at the time.
I know what you're
'cause they're
saying.
not thinking.
Yeah.
right.
Of that person listening, they're thinking of the person with the young kid, and they're
Right.
going, "Here's what you
Right.
can do," and you want them
Right.
to turn out good, which you should do that stuff, and you do want them to turn
Right.
out good.
Yeah.
But there's not a strict causal relationship between the two.
But even using that proverb, though, that's not being preached in a way that's intended to put shame or guilt on a person.
Not intended. No.
Right. So
Yeah.
my point is, I think the enemy loves to take what is true and tweak it, or take something that is intended for good and turn it into something that's harmful.
I just think lots of preachers could do a better job positioning themselves to not be used by the enemy that way.
Well, there's a myriad of examples of that. It's not just in this arena,
No.
and I think that's one of the big challenges of preaching and church leadership is there's what I said, what I intended, and what you heard.
Yeah.
And those are often three different things.
Yeah.
So,
But it is on you to know your audience and be sensitive.
for sure. I mean, my kids aren't at that age yet where, like the things they're dealing with aren't so major that it's not being contained within, a pretty small
And
world.
the
But,
truth is, for a lot of people, they'll never face this kind of stuff.
yeah,
And I think the subtext I've picked up on in some of these conversations with people sometimes is the implication that that the best parent is the one whose kid never made bad choices like that.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where you go like,
Totally.
no, I think that like there's temperament, there's predisposition, there's so many factors that play into that. And I think there can be an illusion of control that people have, that they can dictate the outcome.
Yeah, and I think that needs to be torpedoed for sure. I think what I was trying to say though is like there is that, like, aside from that whole thing, I think the enemy loves to just compound.
Absolutely.
Oh, no doubt
compound
about it.
shame,
Yep.
Keep you in the closet on things.
We're in a spiritual battle too. So we know as Christians that there's spiritual warfare for our children.
For sure.
Right? And the enemy seeks to destroy and devour. And I feel like he went after Greg's mind. And he really targeted that. And not to say that that can't be used down the road someday, that some good can come out of that. But when you deal with this as a family, addiction affects all the family.
Yes.
So it affects not only the parents, it affects the siblings, it affects the grandparents, it affects, my siblings, it affects everybody. It affects all the family. Addiction is a disease, and I've learned a lot, and I've had to bite my tongue on a lot of things that have been said to me. I actually put a few quotes in the book of some really, I don't even know what you would call them.
Not helpful.
I think they were trying to be sincere,
Yes. Yeah.
but I would look at them and like, did you really just say that to me?
Yeah.
Like, really?
It is
And-
very
and-
much one of those, if someone's never been there, it's
Yeah.
hard for them to get it.
So it's we're in a battle, and we realize that as Christians. But you've also got to with our family, for instance, last summer was the first time that the 5 of us got together for. It'd been 6 years since one of our daughters has seen Greg, and been 2 years since the other daughter's seen Greg. First time he'd met her husband and her 2 daughters. And that was a one afternoon thing, but that was a big stepping stone. His kids couldn't be there. Everybody else was there. Our daughter was home from out west with her 3 kids. So we were all together except for his 2, because that can't happen right now. She has say over that, and the mom, and we understand that, and that's the way it is. But I keep encouraging him that someday that may come to, that healing may come to through them, right? So it affects everybody. It affects. I mean, not only did we lose our son and lose the hopes and dreams and all that we had wanted to see for him, they lost their brother. And we have to remember that too, right? They lost. I mean, the last picture in that book, I can hardly look at it without getting in tears every time I see it, because it's one of the best pictures of the 3 of them. And it was good times then. It was happy times then, and it breaks my heart when I look at it. And so they lost their brother. My parents lost their grandson in this journey. My dad's now gone. So it affects the whole family. But my journey, it has to do a lot with my journey. I talk about my depression in there. I talk about the things that I dealt with. I talk about my spiritual journey in there, in a healing process. You worded that perfectly in your foreword when you said, "I've seen Alex's transformation." And to me, in the past year and a half, I finally had to come to the point to say, okay, God, I trust you with all this. I don't always understand it. I'm not going to fight it anymore. I'm going to go with you. Whatever happens, happens. I mean, I look at the stories of parents who have lost their kids, even in the last few weeks, to overdose. People that we know. I don't understand that either. I don't understand, why do some kids live, some kids don't. I mean, those are big questions in life. I talk a little bit about that in the book, my journey through that. But I had to make that spiritual adjustment in my life. Always been a Christian, always believed, always had faith, hope, and love. Always been through that. But there was a point where my hope was gone, and I was in trouble. I was in big trouble. My hope was completely gone, and mad at just about everybody, God included. Mad at my son. Mad at the way life had worked out. But still holding on to that bit of faith in the love that I had around me with my family, in the journey that I had to walk through that, to that point of when I started the book. That was before I started the book. That transformation had already happened, and it's like, here we go, to the point of where I've said, I'll go wherever you want me to go. You open whatever door you open, I'll go. If you close the door, fine. Wherever you ask me to go, I will go. So it's, what I do for a living now has almost become second nature to me. It's hard to explain that, but now this has become more important to me. And the people that have reached out, like it's incredible. It's incredible the private messages that I get, Joanne gets, we get. Man, it's stories that you hear that
There is, if someone will go first, there's people that have stuff they want to talk about,
Yes,
right? Like
yes.
if someone will just go first and be the first vulnerable
Right.
person.
What-
Good on you for doing it.
I would like to circle into and again, I would encourage people to read the book. It's super moving. It's raw. Yeah, it's hopeful as well.
Yeah.
And you talked about some things that, hold people back. Both of you mentioned stuff that's maybe not helpful. What are the building blocks that you would say have helped you move forward, get some healing? Like what are some of the things that are, I guess, most, like thinking about the parent that's maybe right in the middle of it? Like if you could have gone back in time, knowing then what you know now, and told yourself, hey, if you do this, or if you burst that line of thinking, or like, what are some things that are most helpful for parents that would be going through like that kind of
through it right now? You're talking people who are
like,
dealing with it right now.
Even for you looking back, like what were the things that you'd say these are the steps? Like you alluded to, okay, you talked about we had to tell some people,
Right. Right.
You talked about bringing it out. I also, whether you use this language or not, one of the things that I was hearing you saying is like just there was a level of surrender,
Right.
where you just sort of like, okay, I can't control this, like just sort of yielding.
Right.
What are some things, I guess, that you would outline for people that would be helpful for them?
Wow, that's a big question.
Yeah, AJ, you can chime in too.
Yeah, it would be reaching out first, seeking out some help. There's all kinds of literature and books and that type of thing out there, but you need people in your lives that you can rely on, that you can trust. It's also stay true to who you are. Even though there was times I doubted God, I was angry at God, I would pound on the steering wheel of my truck sometimes driving to work, and basically screaming. But God understands that.
He can
understands
handle it.
that.
Yeah.
You have to really open up. You've got to search for help, and you've got to do it together. Joanne and I, if anything, we did everything together. We were unified on the way we handled just about everything.
Would you say it's brought you closer together?
Oh,
through this
definitely,
process?
definitely. Yeah, definitely.
It's the worst way to improve your marriage.
It's I mean,
it will improve your marriage.
It
but
will.
is-
Well,
yes, but I mean, like it
Yeah, a
can.
lot don't.
That potential.
I'll put it
is
this
there.
way: when we went to first few times we went to our counselor and we talked about some of the crisis things that we were dealing with, she looked at us and she said, 2 of those 5 things would probably end most people's marriages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you guys are still doing this together.
Right.
I commend you for that. I never really thought of that, right? I commend you for that. So, yeah, it can destroy a marriage too.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
No doubt about it. Not knowing how to handle it, not knowing how to deal with it. That's where you get into the enabling, into the boundaries, and and sometimes you handle those things differently.
Right. It exacerbates
Right.
your differences.
Yes,
For sure.
Yes. I mean, for instance, just one simple instance, when he was in a manic state for a while, he was just randomly texting all family members, friends, coworkers, just angry at everything. I finally had to block him. I had to the point, I can't have 30, 40 texts a day, bleep, 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 of this stuff coming through. Joanne struggled more with that, of completely blocking him off. So there's a,
Yes.
that's a simple, but
Right.
but also a very difficult example of putting up a boundary. If you're going to come to our home, you're not coming messed up. You're coming in the right state of mind. If you're coming for a visit, if you're coming for a dinner or that type of thing, there was different boundaries. We are not going to enable you by handing you money to live this lifestyle, to keep bailing you out. These are your choices.
So you would say, like, I'm picking like another thing that is recommended is figuring out those boundaries.
Yes.
Like what healthy, helpful boundaries look like in that season.
Definitely. And they will change too. They change
Right.
depending on the situation, depending on the season, depending on how they are doing. Those boundaries can change too.
I think sometimes parents, when they're going through stuff like this, they think it's their job to go down with the ship, so to speak.
Right.
But you got to remember, you have other kids, and you have a spouse, and you have, you know what I mean?
Right.
You can't die to not help one kid,
Yes.
because that's not going to help the other
Right.
kids, right?
Yeah.
And so, like that
tough.
notion of I'll just do whatever they want, hope it makes them happy, hope somehow, like.
I mean, as a
This
parent,
kid is making terrible choices, so I'll also let them make my choices for
right.
me. It's not really
and
a
it
great
will take
idea.
you down. It will take
Oh,
you
yeah.
down
Right.
with them. You do have other family members that are healthy. You know, you can't be healthy with an unhealthy person.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've got all kinds of quotes. I'm a quote guy.
Yeah.
So in my book, you'll see quotes, my own quotes, other people's quotes. So you can't have that relationship with an unhealthy person, a person who's going to continually attack you and bring you down.
Yeah.
It's like the lifeguard trying to save the drowning person. Right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they'll take you down with them.
Totally.
Yeah.
One of the things you said, Alex, that kind of connected with me too, and I think it's so helpful for people to understand. Like, you talked about the grief, and like a lot of times we think that in order for there to be grief, there has to be a funeral, and there can be a lot that is lost.
Yes.
At least for now,
Yes.
and some stuff that is just lost. Like you
not
can
gonna
get
get it back.
time later, but you
100%.
can't get this time
Right.
back.
Right.
Right. That like giving yourself, just being in that headspace of going, what I'm feeling right now is ultimately grief, and I need to process it as grief, as opposed to like it's just this vague, amorphous, bad feeling
Yeah.
that I don't like. Like, no, you got to grieve stuff, man. You gotta grieve
That
it.
was one of the hardest things that I dealt with, was my anger and my grief. It was right there for a number of
Thus
years.
your poor steering wheel.
Yeah. Like I was trying not to take it out on anybody
Right.
else. I was trying to keep it inside. I was trying not to attack anybody. I was trying, because a lot of people would say, man, I never had any idea you were going through that. But I was holding that in, and the counselor brought that out of me one night. It was like kind of coming here tonight. I didn't really know what we were going to talk about, where we were going to go. So you go to the counselor some night thinking you're going to talk about a certain thing. No, she takes you in a whole different direction. And actually, you're sitting there with tears in your eyes, and I'm going in a whole different direction here. Yeah. And it was my grief that was causing me my anger.
Right.
The grief of what I've lost, the grief of watching what my wife's going through, watching what my family's going through, watching what his family's going through, what he put his wife and kids through, and all the changes that it made in their life. It was that grief that hit me harder than anything of dealing with that. And one of C.S. Lewis's great quotes. I love his stuff. I love his quotes.
Me too.
And one of his is, I sat with my anger long enough till she finally told me her name was Grief.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what, and when I read that, I'm like, wow. Right. And my counselor brought that out of me one night, and I said, I'm going through a never ending grief. And she said, no, actually you're going through a never ending, ever changing grief, because, as you said, we still experience loss. I've never buried a child. I hope I never do. I know many couples who have. We know a few couples who've buried 3 children. Wow. Right? And you're going, how do you get through that? Yeah. We've still experienced loss. We've still experienced all those things that are, like you say, are gone. Some may come back, some may never come back. That's where you have to put your trust in God, and it is what it is, and I'm gonna go with you, God. I'm gonna, you keep me going. But
It's a surreal experience to have to protect people you love from someone you love.
Right. Wow. I bet.
Like it is. I would much rather have to protect people I love from someone I, technically love to whatever extent we're all required to love everyone. But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'd rather protect people from an enemy
right,
than to have to protect
Right.
people I love from people I love.
right.
Wow. Yeah.
So grief was probably the biggest thing that I had to overcome and to work through, and that was a long process. I would hear pastors, or I'd hear speakers, or I would hear people talk about seasons of life. I've been through this season, and I would sit there thinking, man, I wish I could just go through a season.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going through years.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to have a season, like the fall, and then it's
Right.
over in the winter,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But the seasons just kept going and kept going. And is there ever going to be light at the end of that tunnel? And that was, I mean, it's hard to explain the loss of sleep. The police officers that I had to get to know, how green I was on a lot of things, that I had to really learn these things fast. And then, but now the heart that I have for people who I see on the street, and my wife, one of the poems I use in my book from her, somebody's son, and that's what it talks about. A guy that she saw one day just sitting playing a drum on the side of the road, and that's somebody's
I think
son.
that every time. Yeah.
Right? Like that's so every time we go into the city and you see those people, it gives you a heart for that. And then you get people who, well, that's their choice. Addiction is their choice. Alcohol is their choice. Well, no, it isn't. It was probably a choice at the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also believe in reading and studying and talking to professionals. I mean, there are addictive personality people.
For sure.
I mean, there just are. I mean, that's just the way it is. Whatever it is, they get hooked on it.
Yeah.
Anything, whether it's video games, whether it's gambling, whatever it is, there's addictive personalities. So I don't think those people choose to be that way. They are that way. They want to get out of that situation, but we don't. The power of addiction, which I've read books on, you don't realize that till you really get into it and see what it does to people and how it completely controls them.
I think a lot of people, like, even if you take the choices, or like, no one chooses to be a drug addict.
Right.
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 Yes.
And people who choose to start down that road, generally it is the best choice of the ones they feel they have. Like, a lot of times, I've got this trauma, I've got this pain, I've got this, I don't know how to make it go away. I don't know if I can go on with, so I need to numb something. I need to escape. So it's not a good choice, and it's not even necessarily the best choice they actually have. But they're not looking, going, I could live a healthy, fulfilling, wonderful life, or I could, become a drug addict. Like, no one's actually they're going, I can keep feeling this pain, or I can make it go away. I can keep, like, the first therapist I ever went to years ago, one of the things he said is, he always had this line. He said, people do what they should. I was like, no, they don't. He goes, no. Given how they understand the world, like, everyone thinks they're making the best choice that they have, right?
Within
right.
that.
Like, they're looking at what they feel like, feel like their options are, and they're going, this is the best thing I could do. Like, it just, sometimes people have a limited number of choices and an even more limited understanding of what those options are. But yeah.
Wow.
And you see these people, like these people in the streets. A lot of these people aren't people who have been brought up in hard situations that have grown up on the streets per se. Yeah. You go down and walk around St. John, and you're going to talk to a guy who's a psychiatrist, who's a lawyer, who used to be a doctor. He get into painkillers. Mm-hmm. Now he's lost his family. I mean, didn't choose that.
Yeah.
But there he is on the streets, living homeless.
I mean, our buddy Mike Ross that we had on earlier this season, who was a pastor and a business owner, and had some massive issues with his spine, and led to needing pain pills and on down through. And,
right.
Yeah. It's What, like, just to sort of land the plane on this, and we'll get into our Mountains top
Yep.
4 here in a minute, but I guess I know for sure I can think of a handful of families like I know personally that are right in the middle of it. How, like, if you could speak to them today and just say, like, here's how I would like to encourage you in this, you know, given all that we've said, that it's not, it might not be a season, grief notwithstanding, where would you point them to look for hope and find courage, find help? Like, what encouragement would you give to you 5 years ago?
I would tell them to get a hold of me. That's what I tell them.
Or somebody that's like
somebody, if you want to sit down across the table, I share more in depth when I'm sitting one-on-one or we're sitting as couples.
Yeah.
I get more in depth on what we went through as a family and encouraging them in ways to keep one day at a time, 1 foot ahead at a time.
So for the people that are in Manitoba or,
yeah,
you know, like find somebody
Yes.
that's been on this journey.
Yes.
They're still standing, you know, still.
Imagine going through all this and having to live in Manitoba.
Right.
Yeah.
Or- I thought you were going to say Moncton. So,
No. There's no hope for Monctonians.
There's no easy answer for it, and everybody deals with it in a different way. But you've got to seek help.
Mm-hmm.
And as a Christian man, as a Christian dad, as dads, as men, we want to fix everything.
yeah.
So I wanted to fix my wife's agony and grief. Right. The picture on the back of that book is as close as we could get to it. Is a young man with a backpack on. That's the day he left at 18 years old, and we gave him the choice then. You can get help. We will send you anywhere in this country. We're jumping on this right now. We're not going any further with this. Or you can't stay here because we had 2 young daughters.
Right.
We had people coming at our house in the middle of the night and the door being left open 2 o'clock in the morning. We have guys showing up that you don't want showing up at your house.
Right.
Yeah.
We had to make a decision as a family, and he put his backpack on and walked out the door.
Right.
And that was one of the worst
Yeah.
days I ever watched my wife go through.
Right.
And you've got to seek out help with people. And as a Christian, yeah, you're gonna have your battle spiritually too. But you've got to reach out. You've got, whether it's counselors, whether it's friends, pastors, whatever it is, you've got to find somebody that's going to be in your corner for you. You can't do this alone. You can't do the crisis alone.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a few crises alone, and it's not a good place to be in. And I encourage people just to seek that out.
What are there any lies or thought patterns that you had over those, like in the darkest days, that you like have since learned to think differently about, whether it's shame or regret, or like are there any ways you'd speak to that? Like maybe there's a parent right now that's like they're not telling people because they don't want
Right.
the judgment or
Right.
whatever. Like what would some of maybe the things that, again, if you could go back in time and say, Alex, I know how you're thinking,
Yeah.
and you don't need to think that way.
Right.
What are some of those thoughts?
If I could go back in time, to me, we all make decisions. Our children, we all make our own decisions. We all have our own choices. Our children are going to make their own choices. You've got to, you've got to seek that out. Sometimes you get caught with your bad decisions. Sometimes you don't. And I'd say I did some foolish things too when I was 18 to 20 years old that I knew better, but fortunately I came out of them and I lived through it, and that type of thing. But each person is going to make their own choice, and just hang on. I guess hang on to that hope. Still, it's a hard balance to be the parent of the prodigal, still be there and loving for them, so they know that you're there for them.
Right.
But there's times that you can't be there for them because of the condition and the things that they're doing. And that is is a gut wrenching process to go
So
through.
you would just speak that as a reality that you need to free yourself maybe from. So you can get caught in the I need to make something happen here that's actually not in my power to make happen.
Right.
You can wait for them on the front deck for
Right.
when they come home, but you can't go sit in the pig pen with them.
Right.
Right.
That's
Right.
beautiful. Yeah. Wow.
For me, just quickly, I didn't have the shame part of it. I wasn't gonna take that on. I think the moms take that on. If the child doesn't turn out, the best that they can be, or perfect, or the way you think they should be, to me, it's like no. You're not gonna blame me for this. Right. No way.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't make those decisions.
Yeah, I didn't make those decisions.
Right.
Not that I did everything perfectly, but I even asked my daughters, "Is there anything that I could have done any differently?" No, Dad. No. Like that's his choices, and he's caught in it. So the parent is going to take that on as, what did I miss? What didn't I do? The shame part of it, and to me, it was like, no way you're putting this on me. I mean, it's not happening, right? So even though I felt all kinds of other emotions, I didn't really feel the shame, blame type thing. I think is definitely as much as Joanne did.
Yeah.
And I think the moms take that on really hard too, right? Yeah. How much do the moms put into their kids? Think about it, right?
Yeah.
But as dads, we just want to fix it.
Right.
I just wanted to make my wife feel better. I wanted him to be better.
Solve the problem.
I wanted the family unit to come together. I wanted to solve the problems. And I was trying to solve the problems, but I couldn't because of his choices. And it doesn't matter whether you beg, plead, bribe, do whatever you try to do. You can't change it.
Yeah. Well, man, you're an inspiration. I know this is going to help a lot of people. So
I hope so.
I'm thankful you did it. Thankful you came on the pod today.
Where did my son go? Alex Daggett. Where did my son go? Available on Amazon.
Yeah, pick it up. Pick up a few. Give it to maybe if you have some friends that are going through that, you can point them in that
My
direction.
email's in there.
Yeah.
My Facebook contact's in there. I tell people to reach out, and even in the last week, the messages that I've come has been unreal.
That's awesome.
Right when I almost get discouraged, I smile in my truck as a message pops up, and I say to God, "Okay, there you go."
And good on you, man, for being
right.
When you've been through something incredibly painful, there's something about sharing it that is healing, but it's a painful like you have to go back into it to do it.
That was hard to do.
And so, like, respect for going, all right, I will, this might be a weird way to say this, but I will mind my own pain for things that can serve and help other people. Like it's part of how God is is redeeming the
and
story.
And I came close to quitting 3 or 4 times.
No
like
doubt.
I was going to call it,
No
I'm
doubt.
done. I can't do this anymore. But it was pressing on.
Yeah.
I love it. It's thank you. This has been
Well, thanks for having me.
been great. I do want to do a Mountain's Top 4.
We gotta do
tough
a Mountain's
segue.
Top 4.
Tough segue, but maybe the connector.
Tough segue.
Maybe the connector is
How do we go from there to here?
fixers.
There we go.
Fixers. You wanted to fix
The stuff you actually can
You are
fix.
a
Let's
fixer.
talk about what you used to do that.
So today's Mountain's Top 4, we want to talk through. Do you recognize that?
Bob and Doug McKenzie.
Oh my word! Yes.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Boy, that goes back a few years too.
So this one's in deference to you guys, although I'm proud of my top 4. Top 4 tools.
Now,
Top 4 tools that it doesn't have to be for survival.
Okay.
It's just
Okay.
tools that you like.
so we can define why they're our top 4
Totally.
tools. All right.
Just these are your 4. These are the 4 coolest tools or 4 most useful tools. Whatever your criteria for
Top
picking
4.
them can be up to you.
All right.
Just tools.
What would get like the formerly eponymous Rushmore? It's your top 4 presidents, but how do you define that? Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Top is in the eye of the
Subjective.
beholder.
It's subjective. So you want me to get it rolling?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
All right, I'll get it rolling. First, honorable mention. This isn't in my top 4, but honorable mention: the headlamp.
Oh.
The headlamp.
Okay.
I love
Never would have
walking.
thought of that one.
No.
It's a tool.
That's right, but I
It's
never would have
helping
thought
you
of that
see
one. Yeah.
in dark places.
Yeah.
What's that reference for on Lord of the Rings? When in incredible dark places, this will be a light for you. The the gift. So number 4, in deference to dad jokes, the stud finder.
The
stud finder.
Legitimately an underrated tool for the homeowner.
Great tool.
Yep.
I have put a lot of nails and screws in drywall, and not in the stud.
I never use one.
No, because you're
I
not.
just know how to
Because you're a
find them.
contractor, not just a homeowner. That's what I'm saying. I don't mean for anyone who owns a home.
That's
I mean
right.
for a person who the most you can say about their tool work is they do own a house.
Admittedly, on the red-green scale of the women don't find you handsome or handy, I've been going for handsome for a long time.
Yeah, red, green.
Not handy.
Duct tape. That was his thing.
Yeah.
Number 3, the Leatherman multi-tool.
Oh wow.
The Leatherman multi-tool.
Boys, you're really going out there.
That's a great. I mean, it's
They
got,
are
it's
they
got
are a
everything.
good tool.
Number 2,
Worth having.
the level. I like the bubbles. What can I say?
Yeah.
I like the bubbles.
You got to be level.
Number 1, the handyman's secret weapon,
Duct tape.
duct tape.
There you go. It's the
Now-
duct tape.
There's my top 4.
You know there's a level on your phone, right?
Yeah. Is it trustworthy? It doesn't have a bubble.
I mean, for anything I'm ever needing to level, it's close enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
Alex, you got 4?
There you go. Yeah. Do I do 4 to 1 or 1 to 4?
It's your
Oh,
choice.
man.
I went 4 to
Or
1.
it can just be any. Like,
Okay,
it doesn't have
so-
to even
Give me
be in
no
order.
particular-
So
order?
I've been around tools for 40 years. So my number 1 tool would be a skill saw
There you go.
because
That's-
I can
that's a
do just about
contractor.
anything with a skill
It's
saw.
amazing to see a contractor with a skill
Totally,
saw.
dude.
Like,
What you guys can do with skill
incredible.
saws blows my
Not
mind.
not only just framing, but like I can do cabinets. I can do
just-
different things. I can do
Oh.
like there's different things you can do with it. So, and then number 2 would be cordless tools.
Oh yeah.
Since they brought all those in, like that's
well, you got to
just
be more specific.
Just a bag of
Because a
Milwaukee.
skill saw
or
can
the
be,
screw gun.
okay, there we
Or
go.
the screw gun.
Yep.
I mean, they just changed the world.
Like an
right?
impact driver. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
I'm
I
with
mean,
you.
They just
What's
they
your
just-
brand?
DeWalt.
DeWalt.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I got Team DeWalt. You got
Yeah.
Team Milwaukee.
yeah,
Well, I'm the yellow team over here.
yeah. Milwaukee's great tool.
There's a Milwaukee rep
Yep.
that attends this church.
Yep.
Yeah, and I told him he had full
Yes, I know
permission to
him.
do whatever he needed to do to
Yeah.
convince me to switch from DeWalt, say with free samples. So far, he hasn't come good.
Their product's so good they don't need to give free
Hey,
samples. I'd say.
they do if they want me to use them.
Number,
There
you
you
got a
go.
couple more?
Well, of course, being what I do, table saw. I mean,
Yep.
I do a lot of custom stuff and cabinets and staircases and that type of thing. So table saw is one of my
One of the go-to.
one of the go-to tools. Now, so I'm talking tools.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like,
Hey.
like you're into headlamps and duct tape, right? Like
Yeah, but then the men are over here with table saws
You
and
men
skill
go
saws and
ahead.
impact
I'm into
drivers.
like tools, like
Yeah.
the real tools. So,
I did have a level.
so then probably would be pneumatic nail guns.
Oh, dude, so fun.
Yeah, I mean, I started back when there wasn't any.
Good old hammer.
Yeah, so we were strapping
Before they
walls,
invented air.
We were strapping ceilings with
Yeah.
the good old
Reaching up.
arm,
Yeah.
and framing houses and putting down sheathing and nailing it by hand and subflooring every 4 inches on square. Like, and then along came the air guns, and then along
Such a
came
feeling of power.
along came the gas and battery operated ones,
Yep.
right?
yeah.
And now you even got the cordless ones, so the battery operated ones.
Yep.
Some of those are a little clunky. They're a little, especially the finish guns. I still prefer my pass load, pneumatic finish gun compared to the cordless.
I'm a shop guy more than a site guy, and so I got one of my treats to myself from Canadian Tire because it was on sale. I got a retractable hose for
Yep.
my compressor.
Yep.
Oh man, there's just pull on that bad boy, pow, 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 and you give her a yank, and off she goes.
Oh, the nerdery and the joy coming out of this
Oh,
section
buddy.
of the back corner.
I mean,
right
we
now.
got guys
It's
that roll
happy.
into the job site now that have nothing that plugs in.
Yep.
That has everything is battery operated.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, it's crazy.
If I was gearing up, that's the
I mean,
direction I'd go.
they got DeWalt chop saws with 60-volt batteries
Yeah.
now, and skill saws and
Chop saw not on
Table
your
saw.
list, interestingly enough, because you can do
Yeah.
all that with the skill saw and the
that
table
would be
saw
an
if you know what
honorable
you're doing.
mention. Chop saw would be an honorable
Yeah.
mention, but
You, you're a DeWalt guy?
I mean, my drill driver set is DeWalt.
When I'm on the job, I use Job 8.
No, that tracks actually with your list.
where do
there.
you get
That was
where do you get those?
Canadian Tire.
yeah. That's the. So they got Maximum, then they got Mastercraft, then they got job mate. Yeah.
So I went from Milwaukee, or I went from Akita to DeWalt back probably 12, 14 years ago.
True.
But Milwaukee does have great tools.
The first time I was trying to
They
buy a cordless drill, someone was selling one for a DeWalt on for cheap on Facebook or Kijiji, maybe it was, and so that's what I bought, and I liked it. So when I had to replace it, that's what I bought. All
Give
right.
us your top 4 because there's a parenting thing that I can control,
Yes.
and that is picking up my dog
True
with
enough.
a Canadian
That's
tire.
right.
So
All right.
give us your top 4.
Bandsaw. Love my bandsaw. Use my bandsaw for almost everything. I'm going to go my lathe. Love turning wood.
I knew that would be coming
Lathe
out.
is so much fun. Then I'm going to go. Don't underestimate the joy of a wooden mallet.
Wooden mount.
I love a good wooden mallet. And then, of course, I got to go hand planes.
I knew that was coming.
There's
I mean,
there is no tool I enjoy more using than a hand. Like there's something just zen about a hand plane. You could totally go a whole woodworking career without using one, but for just the sheer joy, love hand plane.
There you go.
it.
Different
And that's your
angle.
Mountainous top 4, and
Right.
this has been the Back Corner. Alex, thanks again, man.
Thanks for
This
having
has
me.
been,
Beautiful
this
stuff.
has been
Appreciate it,
great
guys.
fun. Yeah, enjoyed
Okay.
it.